The Sons of Harpy. Wow, we're really diverging from the books. I mean, there comes a point when I need to ask myself, is there really any point in comparing it to the books, since in some areas they're diverging so much, and I feel like there still is, but anyway, here we go again. And again, I'm going to not really spoil anything for those of you who haven't. I'll compare when things diverge, but we're just going to look at it. We're going to break it down by plot lines. First off, let me say, I mean, this is a very slow season. A lot of these stories are very slow. There are only two stories that I find three stories I find particularly interesting right now. One of which is Dorne, the others the stuff in the East, and the others Arya, but unfortunately Arya wasn't in this episode, or Brienne. Again, like, a lot of the stuff's building towards something. Like Winterfell's story gets interesting later on, but most of the stories are just sort of slow. So let's start up in the north. Jon Snow's story is a lot more table setting, getting reinforcements to fight the Wildlings, the Wildlings and the Walkers. Stannis getting ready to go off and take Winterfell. And it was nice table setting. Melisandre was pretty forward. She wasn't so forward in the book. I mean, in the book, you can get the sense that's what she wants, but it's not like she takes off her shirt and puts his heart on there and makes... It's not like she makes him have sex, but she does say, "You know nothing, Jon Snow." And so it seems like she wants to use the demon baby to win, and that's very different from the book. I mean, it's to a point where in the books, if you've read the books, you know there's a way Melisandre wants to help get Winterfell, and it doesn't seem like they're going that route. I don't want to ruin what the route is in case you want to read the books, and they could still be doing it, but if you have read the books, the way Melisandre plans to take Winterfell, it seems unlikely they're going to go that. They still could, which is why I'm not going to ruin it, but it seems unlikely. Still, nice scene. Really nice scene between Davos and his daughter. I mean, not that scene was in the book at all, but it was a really nice way to flesh them out, and they're two characters we really haven't gotten a scene between those, and again, it's just nice to see Stannis do something other than sit at home in Dragonstone waiting to do something. Winterfell, again, it's a lot more Cersei, the mat table setting. It's not as interesting. No. Oh, wait. I was talking about King's Landing. Winterfell. It looks like Sansa's going to have to be seductive. This kind of reminds me of what we read in... Because George R. R. Martin, he has a sample chapter from Winds of Winter up on his website, and it involves Sansa being a bit more of a girl, using her feminine ways to seduce people. And it seems like she's going to use that here. It'll be interesting. Although, again, reading the books and knowing what character she's going to be standing in for, I'm like, ugh. But we'll see. No Reek in this episode, unfortunately. At King's Landing, we had a bit more Marjorie pushing Tommen around, and again, more or less the same stuff we've seen before, just a lot more of the power to Tommen being pushed around, Cersei trying to maintain control, Marjorie trying to take control. And again, it's well done. It's more or less the same stuff. I mean, that's my main issue, both with the season and the books, is that some storylines are just very repetitive and set up, and I mean, they're doing a bit better of a job of making things concise, but it feels like it's drawn out. I mean, the only story that I honestly feel like is moving anywhere is, like, Tyrion's, just because he is moving somewhere. And speaking of Tyrion, like, yeah, I mean, King's Landing is kind of empty and lifeless. I mean, we've lost Joffrey, we've lost Tyrion, we've lost Tywin, like, a lot. Jamie, and Bronn, all these characters have brought fun and life to the King's Landing, and now it's just sort of like looking at a dead corpse. I mean, I guess that's the point, but it's not particularly interesting, but again, it's a necessary thing. So, Cersei sent someone to Braavos to get rid of him. I'm curious where they're going with that, because I've read the books, and I can kind of guess where they're going with that. Not because a King's Landing person got sent to Braavos, but in the books, someone else gets sent to Braavos. I don't want to ruin who, in case they still do it, but someone gets sent to Braavos, and some stuff happens to him, and I'm really curious if they're just swapping that guy out for this guy, and they still could do it. I mean, it's seeming very less and less likely that the characters who go to Braavos in the books are not going to go to Braavos. Like, and again, if you've read the book, I probably should stop saying that. But again, if you've read the books, you know who gets sent to Bravos and what happens to them. And it just, given that we're like halfway through the season, I'm starting to really doubt whether or not they're going to go through with it. I mean, but it still could happen. We got to see Dorne for the first time in the intro, and it led to probably one of the most interesting things in the episode, which is great banter between Jamie and Bronn. I mean, when Jamie accidentally admits his relationship to the princess, there's that pause. From the fight scene where Jamie gets clunked on the hand, them eating snakes. Like, they're fun characters, and honestly, I didn't care much for Dorne in the book. I really didn't care about anyone there. I didn't care about what's happening, but now, because in the books, Jamie doesn't go to Dorne. I might have mentioned this in my other vlog, but he's up just cleaning up stuff in the north, taking out the last bits of resistance, and I guess they just did this to consolidate storylines, and it's working for the better because, hey, here's two characters people care about. Let's put them in the storyline that no one cares. Well, at least I didn't care about, because when I was reading the books, I was like, can we just go back to what Arya's doing, or what Tyrion's doing, and then actually Feast for Crows was where Dorne was, but you get my point. Like, you're putting the interesting characters in the uninteresting storyline. And I love the sand snakes. They're really cool. So I think Dorne's going to be way more engaging than it was in the show. And finally, Tyrion gets a lot of dialogue. It was fun, so much fun to see him play off Ser Jorah. Those are two characters, it's one of those, like, that we haven't seen together, and it's really interesting to see them interact. Although, Ser Jorah going back to King's Landing... Not King's Landing, going back to Daenerys makes a lot less sense in the show than in the books. In the books, I mean, the circumstances behind Tyrion going there make a lot more sense, and Ser Jorah taking him there make a lot more sense. Here, it seems like he'd be much better off taking him to Cersei, but we'll see. But again, a lot of it. Daenerys' story diverged from the book big time. I mean, not so much in Isildur opening the fighting pits, but just the fact that Barristan and What's-His-Face are probably dead. And in the books, both of those characters are still alive. So I'm really interested to see... First off, because they said that a major character who doesn't die in the books was going to die in this season. And I'm guessing this was it. I hope this was it. Although it seems weird. I wonder, what are they going to gain out of this? Like... I mean, outside of just possibly just giving Daenerys encouragement to just open the fighting pits and just getting rid of her one good advisor, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Salphanies were the most interesting. And by the way, Sir Barristan, if you went down like a boss. I mean, in the words of Vitruvius from the Lego movie, I'm not old. I prefer the word experience. So yeah, I'm sorry if this vlog was a little rambling and stuff. Game of Thrones is really meaty and dense sometimes. It's just really hard to know where to go or how to cover it. But I hope it was entertaining and informative, regardless of whether or not you read the book. So leave your thoughts in the comments below. Like, dislike, subscribe. And this is JStar60, and I'll see you guys later. Until next time, take care.